2nd of June. Will be any apologies? We have an apology from the Mayor. I'd like to move that be sustained, second Sally, or SRI, no, carried. We'll move straight into public forum. Welcome Jackie Gay Brown. Jackie, you have 5 minutes. You'll see me starting to wind up at 4.5 and I'll finish at 5. Floor is yours.
I thought I had 4 minutes, so I'm one short.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't want to block like here.
Oh, perfect. Go through this. Okay, thanks.
Hi, Morena, ko Jackie toko ingoa, ke Tairua hau e noho ana. I'm Jackie and we've travelled over from Tairua this morning, so thank you for having us. I'm going to make sure we're working as we go. Just wanted to say, firstly, I circulated this yesterday, so I know everyone's got it, so thank you very much. I know some pages have got a bit more detail than others, so I'll skip over some of the text-heavy pages just so we can get through it in the 5 minutes. Just wanted to start by thanking you all for delivering these fantastic skate park projects across the peninsula. You have built and refurbished some great community facility assets, and it has been a great success. Now it's time to fight for Tairua and ensure we have a success too. Tairua has community backing. We have the Residents and Ratepayers Association backing this project. We have a united community board voice that support this project. We now more than ever need your support on this project. This isn't about attacking people. The real issue here is our kids need a skate park. When looking over the last 20 years, and I've only gone for the last 20 years, Corey Park has always been identified as the location for a skate park in Tairua, the only regular location. Corey Park was a reserve since 1954. It was gifted by Vivian's family, the Corey Wright. It's zoned for active recreation, which active recreation includes skate parks, and that was changed in 2016 so that it fits the bill. Less than 1% of ratepayers are being allowed to block this project. Protect Corey Park Society makes up less than 1%, 0.39% based on the 2018 stats. Where is the democracy when 0.39% of people can dictate and influence what happens for the remainder of the community? Our council should not be bullied by people with money. This was a scare tactic used and we jumped. It was said publicly from the start that council would fight for this project. Now is the time to fight for this project. For those of you who are outside of Tairua, I thought to just give a quick around, why not Pepe? That's the park and the playground area when you drive into Tairua. 3 key reasons. One of them is it's not zoned appropriately. The second, those residents who surround it have refused to support it, and they don't have to. They haven't bought in an area zoned for active recreation where skate parks can occur. And the third is that it will end up in environmental court. When we look at it, it's quite clear Corey Park meets all the criteria. All the boxes have been ticked. The work has been done, and it's time to defend this in court and not be bullied by people with money. We're very fortunate that the legal team have provided 4 recommendations, and their top recommendation was to fight this JR. So from the outset, council said, you will fight this project for us. That was publicly declared. Now it's time to do what you said. We either fight it now or we start the process, do it all again and fight it again at the end of that process, because these people are not going to give up just because we do the process again. They're still going to take it through for another JR. So we either have the cost to defend it now or the cost to defend it in 18 months, 3 years time. Whenever it pops up, we're still going to have a cost to defend it. This really comes down to the principle of local democracy. Every time a small group chooses to take legal action against a council decision, it will empower them to delay things for years. And this is what this group do and have done. How can we let this be the precedent for our region? There are costs involved in restarting this project. A whole lot of costs. The build cost will go up. The staff resource time, the independent external consultants, including the cost of damaged reputation and the lack of confidence from residents and ratepayers to vote for the council that have failed to deliver this project that they have promised over and over. So yes, there'll be a cost to defend, but the cost to defend is either now or in 18 months, 3 years' time when we have to defend it again anyway.
Thank you, Jackie. Really quickly.
Yes. So Jackie, just tell us a little bit how hard it was to raise that money.
The Tairua community, as you know, for 30 years have been wanting this project. So when we put it out there, we achieved it in record time. We were blown away. I think within about 9 weeks, we had $100,000 banked from the community. Now, this is a pretty small community. So to get that level of funding just shows how much the community wants to see this project happen. Yeah.
So the leads into next week. So what happens to Tyra in 3 years' time with this budget?
This week alone, we've had to return money to someone who's requested their money back because they've said it's not happening. Council's pulled pin is what they've heard. So they wanted their $1,000 back. So we are being very cautious with the messaging that's out in the community at the moment, because should the community get wind that this is getting delayed for 3 years, chances are we're going to be returning or refunding $100,000 to people in the community. And I'm not going to go and ask them in 3 years' time for that money again. You know, we've gathered it, we've got it.
And lastly, it is Olympic sport, is that correct?
Yeah, skateboarding is Olympic sport. And look, the reason I put this photo up behind is because this is a little guy who broke his arm last Sunday in Tairua because he was skating on the footpath, hit a crack in the concrete. Like, all we want is a safe facility for the kids. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
I know that you talked about it being gifted. Do you know what the terms of gifting was?
It was, or I could refer to Vivian because it's her family that did gift it. I know at the time it was around rugby and recreation, and over the years it has been, you know, there's other sports now played in that zone. So it's not a green space, it's very much the sport activity hub for our community, especially as our town continues to grow. That'll be where all sport are held and hosted.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Any later on today. Okay, I think we'll move on. Move on the forum. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Martin. All in favour, please say aye. No, carried. Are there any items not on the agenda? There are none. Are there any conflicts of interest? There are none. We'll move on to item 1.5, minutes of confirmation. It's item 1.5, so we start off with Coromandel Board minutes.
I'll move those.
And the recommendation, John. We second to Robin.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Vote please say aye. Aye. No, carried. February Bay Community Board minutes. I'll move. Thank you, Tony. I'll second. Any further discussion? Vote please say aye. No, carried. Parliamentary Committee Board minutes. So moved. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Sally. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. No, Gary. Thames Committee Board.
Any discussion?
Well, no, we're just receiving them because these are not.
You've actually said previous ones, any discussion?
Yes. I understand these are not for discussion. We're just receiving them, they're not discussing, isn't it? Am I correct?
That's right. And this here is an approval or?
We're just receiving them. We're not, because it's all gone through committee board.
Yeah, I realise that, but what I think is quite important is that the councillors actually need to hear what happened at that meeting. And I'm just trying to work out a time we can have that played so we can listen as councillors what occurred there.
Would you like to bring that up and?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. Thames Committee Board minutes. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Robin. Any discussion? All in favour, please say aye. No. Gary, on the card, 20 more minutes. Thank you. Second. Yes, thank you, Gary.
I actually didn't get there that late.
Favour, please say aye. No, Gary. We've got another set of on the card, 20 more minutes. Gary,
Yep, absolutely.
Gary, thank you. Vote this aye. No. Gary, reported in written minutes.
I'll second.
Tony, thank you. Sally. With it, all in favour, this aye. No, Gary. Emergency management committee meeting with Sally. Seconded Robin. All in favour, this aye. No, did you say no? Gary, shoreline management plan minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony, thank you, Gary.
Correction for that, because I did notice something. Can I say that now?
Yeah.
Ariana, on item 2.4, I voted against that motion, but I haven't been called as such. Thank you.
No problem, we will look at that. Thank you.
Thank you, all in favour, please say aye. No, and then we go to Thames-Coromandel District Council minutes. For the minutes, the two lots of minutes and the deliberations minutes. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Terry. Discussion, all in favour, please say aye. No, carry. Right. We'll move on to 2.1, page 84. Remove the trees at the golf club. Sorry. Don't mistake.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just, through the chair, I'd just like to confirm that there is one change that we're requesting to the resolutions, and that is to remove resolution 3. The reason for that is we have an email from the golf club saying that they are no longer seeking any grants from us for the removal of the trees at this point. I'll take the report as read. If anybody has any questions?
From the one with councillor.
Through the chair, if I may. We've discussed this at length, and I think the program is that they will remove a lot of the doctor trees and plant native. So it's got a very confident, especially given the meetings at golf course and the mid boards and paper.
So you'll move the resolution 1 and 2. Seconded. Gary, any further discussion? Vote this aye. No, carried.
Thank you.
Very good. Now we go on to item 2.2, page lease on Lindsay Road, page 94. Pretty straightforward. Who's leading this? John, it's pretty straightforward.
It's a year.
Yes. Everyone? It's pretty tiring, guys. How do you feel? Are you happy with this? Or on the dark out?
The line, if I can ask through the chair, you've got a boundary line through the shed. Is that designating those? That's the area you talked about.
I would need to get back to you on that. It is, okay, page 96. Yes, it is.
Okay. So there's a boundary, there's a wall inside that shed that's corresponding with it.
Yeah.
Is that right, Eileen?
Yep, so that's a firewall that's in there, and that shed on the other side is actually part of council's depot where we store all our parks and reserve stuff, our council stuff not associated with the lease.
Do you have to move it?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Gary, any further discussion? Vote this aye. No. Item 3.1, license to by application, Heritage Rail, Tofu.
This is another, a piece of infrastructure to go on another piece. There is some work that the trust still needs to do, and I think the key sentence is the shelter will not be constructed until the set requirements have been met and the appropriate consultation has been concluded. So they've still got to work with their stakeholders, but they need the certainty that if that works well, then we're happy to bring that under. So does that make sense?
Yep. So you moving it?
I'm moving it unless, yes, I am.
You're seconding, yep. Is there any discussion?
Is what I said true, Ed?
It is, yes. Consultation is going ahead, been copied in on it, and it's all been positive so far.
So the fact that consultation needs to happen doesn't need to be in the resolution.
Consultation still needs to be completed.
Does that need to be in the resolution that we passed today?
Shouldn't need to, no.
Yeah, just through the chair. Thank you. Yeah, so Ed, is there any designation around there, any issues in terms of this, like, say a big complaint, would it affect?
The area is road reserve. So as far as we're aware, there are no other designations. We've consulted with both consultation has happened with both the bridge group regarding the monument with the adjacent state highway. So I can't see any other issues that would arise.
And at the end of the day, it's only limited to put in and catch your breath.
Any further discussion? All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried. We move on to item 3.2, page 104, which is pipeline. Ed, this is yours again, I think.
It's just,
This is the one up the coast.
Yep.
Make things happen. Yeah, I'll move it.
You moved it.
yep.
Be a seconder. Yep. Thank you, Terry. Is there any further discussion? Pretty simple. Mike, all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Gee, will be one of them. Well, they're all straightforward. Item 3.3, page 118. Granting an easement, Ed, this is yours again.
It is, yes. This is in relation to a resource consent that was granted by the council that asks for an existing unformed legal road to be stopped up as part of the development and changed to a private right of way, giving access to the development.
I'll move it. Tony, seconder. Thank you, John. Any further discussion? Please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Item 3.4, page 182.
You put it back between by something.
It's not mine.
Specification. Space for just move to it. Just in front of the breaker.
Yeah, that should be there. Faith, are you online?
Yes, I am, but the quality of sound is really poor.
You need to go in the middle.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. So I take it that it's been read, the report?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything that councillors should know, Faith?
No, it was, it's always been treated as a reserve for all intents and purposes. It just somehow managed to slip through when we did the classifications of the reserves a few months ago. So we just picked it up and have pushed it through this time to get it classified.
Someone like to move?
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. Gary, Robin. Thank you. Any further discussion? Everybody happy?
It's a tidy up as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody happy?
Yep.
Vote this aye. Aye. No, carry. Move on to item 3.5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Page 187.
I'll move.
I'll check it. this has also been gone through, we've voted, committee board, happy with it all, happy with it all.
I have one question, if I may, sorry.
Yep,
Just regarding Jack Mills Reserve, to be
just regarding,
Jack Mills Reserve of Pepper Bay. It says here, on consideration of submitted points, the community board recommend the council retain the provision to investigate disposal of the reserve. The community seemed quite clear that they,
which paper?
191. The community seemed quite clear that they didn't want that reserve disposed of. I'm just wondering how you came to that decision as a board.
It's a little one, yeah, that's, little one that's, that little one that have been over.
Yeah.
Right next to some crowd there, it's just a little wee piece.
Yeah, like a little wedge.
Yeah, we didn't think any significance at all.
And it's supported by a large part of reserve, so we don't need a multitude of the money. It's not as if there's no open space there.
Mm.
So for us as land is in our home, we don't need, we'd rather have that money sitting inside the organisation and don't look after it.
Any other questions? The motion, all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
No. 4.1, welcome Hayden. Now we're getting to the nitty gritty. March budget revision.
Yep. I'll take the report as read. Are there any questions? I took you out of slide. Yeah, at the moment we're tracking pretty well for 2021. We're 3 million.
Speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry, we're
Yeah.
we're tracking pretty well in 2021. We're looking to come 3 million more favourable than budget, and it's a pretty good result really, and hopefully it might even be better than that. So June will be sort of the telling month, I guess, because it's where we have a lot of sort of projects and costs sort of come through. But at the moment we're well on track to achieve the 3 million at least. In terms of capex, it has increased 8.4 million, but it's largely due to the water metering, the Kopu Marina and storm events. Yeah. So.
Just a question, I noticed under Mercury Bay there, I'm just looking at the 3 columns there, you've got the 2021 end of December and March.
Yep.
Skate park risen 271,000, that's a purification.
That's because there was co-funding that was through, I'm pretty sure, Street Sports Waikato, a grant came into that, yeah.
I've got a particular question about Thames, which I should have done prior and I forgot. And it's in its street furniture renewals, it's gone from 8 to 50, but obviously something's been added and I'm just not sure what that is. Our public conveniences have renewals have gone up, but that makes sense because we put a whole new toilet in. So that's probably offline, but just that didn't make sense and I should have followed it up and I didn't.
Yeah. Is there any other questions?
Just one question for clarity. In terms of the budget revision and $3 million better off, would you just be able to indicate how that might affect or might not affect the starting position for 2020?
Yeah, so we in 2021 we plan to borrow $6 million smoothing loan to get us through. So we'll only have to borrow half of that now. effectively.
Right, so in terms of the significance for next year's finance,
Far better.
what we're doing with this year's LGP, we're still on track and it's not going to affect those figures positively or negatively to any rate.
No.
That's the point I just wanted to make, is that what we're looking at when we do sign the LGP up will be pretty much the numbers that we're looking
Yes.
to, because we've done this match revision and that.
Yes, so that's why we do the March revision, is we do 2 revisions each year, but we do the March revision so that we can have more accurate opening balances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's positive.
That's positive. Good news.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done. Figures.
Cool. All right.
Any other questions? I think it reflects the team effort of keeping an eye on costs.
Yeah.
And certainly, I for one haven't been your return much more confidence that costs are getting kept the crack on now to get up what they were.
Yes.
Very good.
Any other questions? Everybody happy? Someone going to move that we, resolution, receive the budget revision, adopt the capital town cycles and adopt the budget revision. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Sally. Further discussion? Vote please say aye.
Aye.
No. Vote is carried. If executive report,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we've just seen, the budget reforecast is through, and this report is consistent with that budget reforecast, although you'll note that we are currently $5.7 million approved, but that's just a timing issue. So we'll be tracking towards that budget at the end of the year. You'll notice that there's an awful lot of information in there about the significant reform programs that we have on at the moment. They're quite detailed. I'm assuming everyone's going to be taking those on board, although there is a general area of confusion in terms of what will land first, or what will land at all, or where it will land. So we just have to keep an eye on those reform programs and inform ourselves as best we can as time goes by, and we'll attempt to do that. I'm just looking at one paragraph in the should go north, and that's about the decision as to whether the company had been successful. I'm not allowed to say anything about that. We were successful in our $2 million application for funding from the regional council, and the regional council remained very supportive and committed to that project, and we're very complimentary of the relationship in terms of.
Has it got any ties to the road being done and all that? Is there any sort of?
We have made commitments that the road will be upgraded, but we do have budgeted our LTP for that. I'm not sure when it's, do we know when it's budgeted for?
Yes, I think the chair, the intersection is the work. Yeah, not around the whole road. Right, the intersection is being upgraded. We just ran through that again yesterday. The land acquisition is the thing that's holding us up. So we're just working with the landowner to upgrade that intersection. We need to do quite a bit of land take. So we're working negotiating with the owner. We're hoping to have the land side of things by September, and then we can start the construction after that. So we had hoped to get start this financial year, but it's slipped across to the next year.
So the regional council funding get no effect on the.
No, so we've already budgeted DCDC for that work for a number of years, so it's we're doing the fix up.
Thank you.
Rob, the 3 waters, is there any update there? Are they moving at all? And the second thing is roading can be hit anymore on the project.
From a 3 waters perspective, in theory, there was a media campaign being commenced on last Sunday, which I still haven't seen any evidence of. So I don't know really where we're at the moment. We were expecting some big announcements last week.
Originally it was late May, June, and now it looks like it's going to be early July. On the number of entities and the boundaries of those entities, the key next kind of pieces of information that everyone's hanging out waiting for.
So I attended the rural and provincial sector meeting last week, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, and a lot of let's call it wobbly wheels in terms of where people believe we were sitting. We're not entirely sure how the sector is really reacting at the moment, and I think there's an awful lot more going on behind the scenes than than most people would see. I think that might be causing these sort of delays while the government tries to align a few things behind the scenes. So we're, like Bruce says, we're expecting things in July now, but yeah, we really have no good steer in terms of what is actually going to.
Tony, do you have a question?
Other than I mentioned, Rob, other people might have read it, I think I might have sent it to everyone. Might have. So there's some significant dialogue saying that Northland are not signing up. They have concerns about a dam and having that infrastructure taken out of their hands. A bit of that will be a reaction to the four-lane highway promise to Marsden Point that they can, so that'll be a bit of a challenge to speak. But the same thing goes for Canterbury, who have said post the earthquake. They have state-of-the-art infrastructure, and no one's told them about how the ownership and where the money will go. And clearly the government have been out and announced it, they haven't provided the detail behind it to allow people to make good decisions. So I suspect there's a lot more water to go under the bridge than people tell us, and I don't think it's the legislation that's going to happen.
So can I ask through the local, our area, are they all on board? Is there any like having city and Tauranga and have this biggie very clearly?
Through the chair, I think we are finding, generally speaking, that the metropolitans are far more anxious about the water reforms than the provincial areas, although there is significant unrest in the provincial areas. And that is around the cross-subsidisation of that and the lack of knowledge about what is the deal. And I think that actually goes across the whole of New Zealand, is local government is still waiting for what the deal is actually going to be with regards to the debt and the present infrastructure that they have in their portfolio. So until we really get a clear indication of what's going on there, it's very hard to know where anybody is going to jump. As Tony said, I think the only way forward realistically from what I'm seeing is legislation, because trying to partner is not actually at this point in time producing a resource that anybody can make a reasonable decision on in terms of partnering. I think local government would love to partner, but you need information to be able to partner with. So I think that's holding everybody back.
Well, that's sorry.
Can I just, that's a nice segue. Just your last comment around communication and campaigns, just once the decision, the sirens are going to be turned off, there is a communications plan around signage, community response, and I think that we really need to emphasise that, because there will be noise about other things. And so please, all the help we can get with that comms.
And is there anything further on the roading,
The roading, what character have you done there? Tell me that, otherwise that.
Yeah, so where we kind of ended up with that was a reduction across our 3-year program, so the first 3 years of the LTP, reduction of 5 million. So over those 3 years, so it's a 5 million total, so it's roughly 2.5. We get to pull out our own money. So we've gone through Ed and the team have worked on what they could pull out, what they couldn't. A lot of stuff we ended up pulling out of stuff that we actually were working on to raise the standard and encouraged to do so. Over the last kind of 18 months of like do more of this, road safety, promotion, that kind of stuff. So we then put extra stuff in, and now things have changed. The money's dried up, and so it's now taken that out. So it's okay, so now it's not back out. So some of the stuff we're going to take it to a higher level of service, and now we just pull that back out, students back. But it's some stuff we'll just pull back, and that tightly around level of service over the years particularly, but overall,
I just don't quite get it, and that with the previously got 51% subsidy.
Yeah.
Does that still apply, and then they're taking 5 million up? So we still will get,
so
on our normal subsidy, at 55%, but they're taking it back down.
Correct. So the financial stability rate doesn't change. So
that's not going to affect that quite as much as we put up
our total bid. So you put a bid forward, in conjunction with them over the 3 years, and they basically said, yep, so it's good, and then they come and they went down and said, no, drop 5 out.
So it's only 5, not 10.
No, so
Five million, not
it's 5 million, but yeah, correct. So originally, that was partially my mistake, was thinking it was 5 million. Yeah, I think we're paying roughly 5 of ours, but it's 5 total on our program, so it's roughly 200. One thing on that, you know, and Sydney goes out to program.
So just to summarise on that, basically what we would have done in the next 3 years is basically where we're back to. So the whole skew that we've just been through has returned us back to a neutral position onto where we would have been had we not sort of tried to elevate things into membership and Waka Kotahi. So that causes us no concern going into the LTP approval process. So we there's nothing specific we're adding to that document.
Not really, no. So we've had to do quite a lot of work. Even as more council, we have to do to show how we're managing that now. It's not going to give us a massive drop in legal service for our customers. It's something that we.
Is this a precedent? Has this ever happened before?
I think this is a first. In terms of the way we work with Waka Kotahi, I think nationally it's been a first for local government to be scrambling at the last minute in an LTP process. Hopefully, both Wellington and local government will learn from this process to make sure that we don't go through this type of skew so close to a sign-off process, because it's been very difficult.
So I understand electric vehicle subsidy is out of the road budget. Correct. So you've got to ask the question whether we're all paying to subsidise electric vehicles. That's very interesting.
The few with youth are not very happy either.
Are there any other questions on the 52 report on the financials?
Is there anything there that you want to tell us that around the reads that we should know about? I've read it, but I can't see anything.
No, I don't believe so, Terry. I think everything is sort of pretty positive, really. With everything more to really highlight, there's no major issues.
Okay.
Gary?
I just wonder if it's an appropriate time to raise, seeing as the Chief Executive's report, the exchange that he and I have had, which first started on the 11th of June, his response on the 14th of June to me, everyone was copied in, and then my response again.
Gary, I'd rather take this, so you would be happy if I take this in, exclude later on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we do that?
Yep. Absolutely.
I just had a quick on page 206 under the communication campaigns, talks about July, the solid waste team on a reduced food waste, waste sanitisation, public education and awareness campaign. Bearing in mind the fact that we now got some information around a waste audit that was done. And there's groups that are keen to do organic food waste collection. I just wonder if there can be, I don't know, I'm just sort of thinking if we're going out with a campaign, we need to factor in that information about what that waste audit came up with. I'm probably not expressing that very well.
Through the chair, Lorna's in the room at an opportune time, but I think that that's what Lorna's aiming for, so that's an optimistic, she's keen to kind of drive this stuff, as we all are.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, though, we won't be rushing out ahead of the stuff that we need to do to take through a workshop where we actually discuss the food waste stuff, so I anticipate that will probably start to September, I'd say, at stage, about maybe trying to do a workshop with the members about food waste. September time on, so
cool.
We'll be on the back of that. So yeah,
That's what
good job of pushing us, but we've got to make sure we've got everything right when we go live.
Yeah, it's just what you were saying is that we need information to partner with the government. Our community needs information and be co-designing to by the argument as well. So I think we can learn and not do the same down the food chain.
We have to workshop on this, and we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Any other questions on the executive group? No, I need to put the Motion there. Page,
On page 100, right?
we're on page 182. Sorry, what's it?
It's 26.
Wait, it's the resolution.
I'm happy to move.
Thank you, Terry. Victor.
Second.
Thank you. John? Any further discussion? Trying to find the page. but-
Yeah.
Any further, all in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carry. Right, we'll move on to members' reports. Then after that, I'll be clear. We're going to start with Terry. We're going to start with different way around. Terry.
Just want to say the long-term plan deliberations have been very thorough and quite enjoyable in terms of hearing the information coming back from our residents and ratepayers. It's been a good journey, I feel. Positive results out of it, and look forward to the next 3 years of doing some of that action, getting it done. There's been a couple of stressful articles in there as well. On the one, Lindsay Road has been a lot of stress for me, I can tell you, over the years, but it's very thankful we've at least got a plan for that. And one more that at the moment we'll talk about today, with Spiral, which is another one which is causing a lot of stress and concern. So I hope we have that discussion today and see where it goes. Apart from that, I'll take leave of September and go to Australia. Thanks.
Happy to go to John. Thank you. Fine, thanks. Robin.
I wanted to highlight two things, actually. The first being that the Climate Change Commission is doing a series of webinars at the moment explaining their recommendations, because they have now presented their final report. And they're annoyingly, webinars 3 and 4 are happening right now and at 2 o'clock. But they are recording those and putting them on their website. So I encourage you to go and have a look and see what they're actually recommending, because some of them do have repercussions down to local government. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is that this week is Volunteer Recognition Week. And so it's an opportunity to say thank you to all our volunteers. And I think that even though we're a large employer and we do have a large number of employees, we do actually employ a lot of volunteers as well. And so the library services use volunteers to do a lot of the legwork, the shelving and the preparing of books. And of course, everybody who turns up and plants a tree, one of our reserves at one of our planting days will, on our coast at the planting days, is a volunteer for council. So I'd just really like to say thank you to all those people who have volunteered. And then wider in the district, thanks to all the people who volunteered to make the district a much more livable place.
Without wanting to labour the point, just for with the long-term plan, I think just wanted to thank staff again. I know councillors, we've done that a number of times, but yeah, it's been a huge amount of work. My first time one, and yeah, it's been a very interesting process. Also looking forward with the Thames spatial plan. Looking forward to engaging with the community around how that might go forward. Robin and I went up to the Tracks and Trail Forum up in Coromandel with a whole heap of groups that are all doing great things with tracks and trails around the peninsula. And during the meeting, it was mentioned, I believe, by John Bork-Roger, who's a long-term dock person, that if you take a line west to east through the middle of Toltol, there's no great walks north of there. And the opportunity for Coromandel to have some sort of great walk is, I mean, why wouldn't we grab hold of that opportunity? And with it being quite a narrow, long peninsula, there's fantastic scope to be able to people climb up in the hills, back down into a little township, stay the night, head up the next day to do another one, have people picking them up, you know, by boats or vehicles or whatever. So there's that group had that forum had a whole lot of people who just, you know, want to get on and get things done. So I can see some great opportunities there. And finally, yeah, just with the food, organic waste, it's great that there seems to be wide support around the council for getting some action going on that, and obviously that ties in well with the solid waste contract coming up for renewal. So yeah, and I think there's a lot of support for getting some actual good outcomes out of that.
Gary.
To repeat what Terry said, there's tremendous relief in Whangamata about 101 Lindsay, and thank everyone for that. No, I'm hoping yes, but just if we heard this morning from the skate park people, I've become quite concerned how toxic it has become. It really is quite disturbing. And when we go on to discuss it later, I think we need to consider some very real issues to try and deal with this in a way that we keep democracy alive. Thank you.
On Thursday, I'm representing the council at a farewell at emergency management of Gary Talbot, who some of you will know. He's got a very serious illness and has had to resign. Gary Talbot, he started here in the fire service and then worked with us in emergency management and then worked to a regional. So I'll be representing the mayor and you people at his farewell tomorrow, Thursday. So just in case you knew him, I wanted you to know that.
So I have attended a number of things, and I have provided written reports from the national meeting I went to, the RCA forum and transport forum, and I've highlighted those things that impact on the Thames-Coromandel District. To make mention of the two North Victoria North, Victoria South ratepayers associations, the meetings that we have with them on almost quarterly basis. I think largely positive issues that post LPP were monarchs and greenways, and I won't say there's an acceptance of the monarchs, but they're accepting of how we got to pursue. I note, and I wouldn't mind recording, I am personally disappointed with our local MP with his comments that he has made criticising his council on their decision in regard to silence. When he comes out and says we've made a wrong, or certainly as far as I'm concerned, none of his business, and he needs to remember that he was actually in government and did nothing. As far as I was, he's done nothing opposition. So I think it was a very ill thought words in terms of what we do. And whether someone tells them that, or if you just fix it up in a minute, so I don't know, but for me that's not good enough. And I support what Martin said at the Great Walks in the council of 2010 under the League. That was one of the basically active projects. It's huge support within our own community, and it's huge support within REK. And I can endorse, I think there's a wonderful opportunity to progress walking and the economic benefits that are derived from that. So only support Martin's comments. So
just quickly I just like to take, Tony, thank you for the reports you put through.
Yeah.
Very detailed, very good information. So
Just speaking up, Tony, I heard Scott on the radio. So I happened to have Scott on my phone and I rang him straight away, said, thanks for your comments. This morning, and he got quite, restless in his reply. He then went on to say the council's done a number of things, including closing off Mary Street, which was a dumb idea, which I find a bit of an own goal, when one of his own secretary is on community board of 10. So, Scott wants to be good when he kicks his secretary in the head foot, puts her under the bus. So I just hear that with you. Something else I wanted to share with you is an experience I've had just lately looking to buy a vehicle, and EVs are all the go. So I thought I'd do a little bit of homework. Have a look at our electrical resources right at the moment. Go down to Lake Taupo And down at where the boats are launching, they're just about on the high. Taupo would be 1.5 meters lower than it's been than it was at Christmas. There's hardly any hydro coming out. There's 1 million tonnes of coal being trucked by diesel trucks from Mount Maunganui to Hutley to burn in the power station. There's diesel being burnt in Auckland to fuel, to fire up electricity. And yet we're doing all these subsidies on cars. I looked at what I should buy. I ended up buying a hybrid, so people will be pleased, but not a plug-in hybrid. I talked to an insurance friend of mine, and I just walked off for this warning anyone looking. He is an insurance assessor. He said, have a look at this the other day. He had a bill to replace a battery in a car, import the battery from Japan, but it was 56,000 for a car that was worth 15,000. And he said the trick in Japan now is they're popping up the batteries before they come, and a lot of cars are coming in and the battery life is only about 4 or 5 months. So I'm just saying, if anyone is, you can reach your own decision, but if anyone's buying them, be careful what you buy. But it's been a very interesting little exercise, just looking at saying the whole lot of stuff out in the market, what are you going to get? And it's a very difficult decision when you look at what you want to do best for the environment. And I think what appears on one scene is not actually, when you boil it down, it's quite different. And I just thought that, but it's been very little. Are there any other comments on?
Well, I have to support you, Murray, because we had that Ecotron people come and talk about the charges.
Yeah.
Just can't charge from the house now, I think you can. We haven't really prepared for that, so I don't know. Still some work to do.
Anything else on your reports?
Rode my bike to work this morning, just saying.
Okay,
So like, yeah, we get to when you hang a light over there.
reports.
I'll move.
Thank you, Tony. Peter.
Yep.
Thank you, Kerry. All those vote for aye.
Aye.
We know, morning to you.
Yeah.